of goodness, he should not imitate the occupational duty of a Brahmana. For a Kshatriya or administrator, there are so many abominable things. A Kshatriya has to be violent to kill his enemies, and sometimes a Kshatriya has to tell lies for the sake of diplomacy. Such violence and duplicity accompany political affairs, but a Kshatriya is not supposed to give up his occupational duty and try to perform the duties of a Brahmana. One should act to satisfy the Supreme Lord. For example, Arjuna was a Kshatriya. He was hesitating to fight the other party, but if such fighting is performed for the sake of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there need be no fear of degradation. In the business field also, sometimes a merchant has to tell so many lies to make a profit. If he doesn't do so, there can be no profit. Sometimes a merchant says, "Oh, my dear customer, for you I'm making no profit," but one should know that without profit the merchant cannot exist. Therefore, it should be taken as a simple lie if a merchant says that he is not making a profit. But the merchant should not think that because he is engaged in an occupation in which the telling of lies is compulsory, he should give up his profession and pursue the profession of a Brahmana. That is not recommended. Whether one is Kshatriya, a Vaishya, or a Shudra doesn't matter, if he serves by his work the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even Brahmanas who perform different types of sacrifice sometimes must kill animals because sometimes animals are sacrificed in such ceremonies. Similarly, if a Kshatriya engaged in his own occupation kills an enemy, there is no sin incurred. In the 3rd chapter, these matters have been clearly and elaborately explained. Every man should work for the purpose of yajna or for Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anything done for personal sense gratification is cause of bondage. The conclusion is that everyone should be engaged according to the particular mode of nature he has acquired, and he should decide to work only to serve the supreme cause of the Supreme Lord. Shriyan Swadharma Viguna Paradharma Svanushtitat Swabhaya Niyatam Karma Kurvan Apnoti Kilbisham. It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it perfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. So we understand that there are different natures, and therefore there are different types, classes of people. And the most important thing for us is the conclusion Srila Prabhupada makes in the end of the purport, that everyone should be engaged according to the particular mode of nature he has acquired, and he should decide to work only to serve the supreme cause of the Supreme Lord. So first thing is to be engaged according to our nature, and that's more elaborately explained, that there are different duties, material and spiritual, and material duties are performed according to the modes of nature we have, and spiritual duties are given by the spiritual master. And there are also emergency duties, something we may not really be inspired to do, but something we would have to do under emergency circumstances. But the core activities should be done according to the modes of nature. And if you do something you are born for, that's very interesting, that all of us have some purpose. Even things have purpose, right? Everything in this material world has purpose, and so everyone in this material world also has purpose. And the purpose is that you do something which you can do very well, and if you do that, you will also feel enthused, and you can get the best results. And the reason is very simple, because if you do what you enjoy doing, that you can put your heart into it, and therefore you can get the best results. And this is material side. And spiritual side, you can dedicate this activity and the results in the service of the Supreme Lord. In this way, you will not only get the best results, but you will get permanent or eternal benefit, that the results will not be finished at the time of death. So that's material and spiritual perfection. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita is a really relevant book for the modern world. It's very interesting that nowadays it is very different from what it was a few decades ago when Srila Prabhupada started the mission, and things like meditation, mindfulness, even kirtan, Hare Krishna kirtan, are very, very popular in the corporate world. And actually, people are appreciating spirituality more and more, and they understand that only material problems have only spiritual solutions. That comes by realization and experience. And so, actually, the biggest interest people have is how can I combine my professional and spiritual lives, right? Because normally mundane understanding is that you have your job, right? And this is what you do for making your living. And then at the spare time you go to temple, mosque, church, synagogue, whatever, right? And so that's your religion. Your work life is separate, your religion is separate, right? And mundane understanding is that you work for money and you enjoy life, and then you go to God to pray to protect you from the reactions of your bad karma. Right? So you try to enjoy and use God to relieve you from all troubles. So that's mundane religiosity, right? But we can see that religions have very bad name nowadays in the world. And so people realizing that religions have no answer, but there is spiritual knowledge and spiritual practices which are universal and beneficial for all. And people understand that this is the most important thing in life. And therefore, actually Bhagavad Gita is the most relevant book for the modern world, because Bhagavad Gita is the perfect manual for spiritualizing your work, right? Spiritualizing your whole life and stop living kind of in a split condition, right? That material life, spiritual life, and you running between the two and you don't know, you jumping between the two and you get neither benefit, right? When you are at your workplace, You think, my God, I don't want to do that. I would rather be at the temple. But when you are at the temple, you're so tired from doing your work, you can't even concentrate on your spiritual practices, right? And so it's like, in Russia, we say that if you chase 2 rabbits, you will catch none, right? Because the rabbits will just run in different directions and you will be left with nothing. And so that's why Bhagavad Gita is the perfect answer, not only for us, but for the entire planet. Because everyone is suffering like that. Everyone is split between their personal life, actually, whether it is including spiritual practices or not, everyone has personal life, and everyone has things which are inspiring, at least hobbies or something like that, and everyone is doing something they don't really like doing, but they have to do. And so, but Bhagavad Gita is explaining that you don't have to do what you think you have to do. And the solution is that you just need to understand yourself. And knowledge gives you freedom, right? That's the power of knowledge. That's why people study, right? Because it's universally known that those people who work by sitting, they earn much more than those who work by standing. Right? People understand, okay, if I get knowledge, I will not have to work hard. I can work smart. And so, if it is applicable in case of material knowledge, what to speak of spiritual knowledge? And Bhagavad Gita does not even differentiate between the two, right? Knowledge is knowledge. And the original purpose of knowledge is to be used in the Lord's service. And our whole life should be dedicated in the Lord's service. And what Bhagavad Gita advocates is holistic approach, right? You don't have to drive yourself crazy by running after everything at once and not getting anything. But spend your time trying to understand who you actually are materially, right? At the moment, we're not even speaking about who you are spiritually. Materially, what were you born for? What can you do really well? And what you really enjoy doing? And then next, how can you dedicate your life only to that and do nothing else? And really do it well. And then dedicate it in Krishna's service. Like Arjuna, right? Kshatriya, but then Kshatriya is also specialized, so he wanted to be an archer. And so he wanted to be the best archer of the world. And he was so excited by this idea that he even gave up his sleep at the end of the day and became Gudakesh, just to become the best archer. And so, because he was the best, Krishna wanted to use him. Krishna wanted to engage him in the service. You know, it's like job application, job interview, right? I'm sure all of you have done that, and you know very well that they look for the best employers, right? They want to employ the best people. That's why they have the interview, to see if you're good enough. And so Krishna also wants the best people to serve him. And so if you really want to serve Krishna, then it's important that you excel, you achieve excellence in your service. And you can only do that if you do what you were born for and what you enjoy doing. So that's the basic idea, and we want to give more time to practicing, and so we can move to that. And before we do it, if there are any questions, we can answer. Yes. Oh, well, Grihastha life should not be an obstacle to that. But yeah, I mean, there are so many obstacles, and obstacles are created by other people because other people want us to do so many things, right? But it's also important to understand what I want to do. And yeah, this is the most important thing, right? Before you start doing something, you ask yourself what I should be doing in this lifetime, what should I dedicate my life to? And we'll be doing the exercises which will help to understand it better. Anyone else has a question? Yes.
You mentioned during the class now that Krishna doesn't differentiate between material knowledge and spiritual knowledge. So how do you understand this point?
Yeah, Krishna is not making difference between material and spiritual knowledge because all knowledge comes from Krishna, right? And so material, what we understand as material, is something which is not used in Krishna's service, right? For example, we use fan for Krishna, right? We fan Krishna during Arati. But there are plenty of people who just fan themselves, right? And they don't even think of fanning the Lord. So fan is neutral. You can fan Krishna, you can fan yourself. So in the same way, anything in the material world is neutral. So the knowledge is also neutral. And you can use knowledge for Krishna, and you can use knowledge for sense gratification. So, but originally it is coming from Krishna, and it is meant to be used in Krishna's service. That's the idea. So that's why it is our perception or our attitude if something is material or spiritual. Originally everything belongs to Krishna, originally everything is spiritual. Yeah. So, everyone's ready for the exercise? Good. So, in order to live, in order to start living, we need to die for material life, right? If we really want to dedicate ourselves to our mission, it's important to think about death. And it's interesting, it's not just Vedic concept, it's not just Bhagavad Gita's concept. It has been known since time immemorial. There is an ancient Latin proverb which says, memento mori. And memento mori means remember death. So people were convinced in ancient times that in order to live the life in the right way, we have to remember that we will die. And why do we have to think of death? Anyone has any idea? What is the benefit of thinking of death? Understanding that death, as sure as death, right? We don't become too attached. Any other benefits? That's right. Yes. If you understand that you might die, you will understand that I don't have time to waste, right? Because, there are too many people who live the way as if they will never die, right? And they actually die and they die as if they never lived, right? So, it's really important to be focused on death in order to live life to the full extent. And this particular exercise, which can help us to focus on death in the right way, can be done in two ways. One is a little bit harder, and the other one is a little bit milder. And the harder way is imagine that you're already dead. And then your friends, well-wishers, relatives, colleagues, they come together for your memorial day. They have memorial service in your name, right? And then they speak about you. And of course, normally it's a universal culture that you don't speak ill of someone who has died already, right? You remember only good things, right? So that's one version of the exercise. Try to visualize that memorial program or memorial service in your name, and try to think who will say what, and you can even write it down. And try to think what people would appreciate about you, right? Who is saying what, and what do they acknowledge, what do they appreciate? And especially in regards to achievements. What do you want they to say? What do you want them to say you have achieved in your life? And achievements, and then skills and abilities, and also qualities. So think of these things, and you can even write it down. You can just put it down in a way that, okay, devotees, what do they say? He was a really good example in this and that. He or she achieved this and that, right? I'm really missing him because of this and that, right? It's like one question to ask yourself: who will cry when you die? Right? Maybe some people will cry tears of joy. But probably they will not come to your memorial service, though. Right? They'll skip that one. And so those who are at your memorial service, they will only speak good things, right? So you want to record only these statements. Or the other option is, if that's too hard, then you can imagine your 80th birthday. You're 80 years old, which none of you are yet. And imagine all the people who appreciate you, they come together and they congratulate you with whatever you've achieved, whatever you've done, and they share their appreciations, right? Okay, so you can spend maybe a few minutes of thinking about these things and writing them down. And then you can find somebody else, and in pairs you can share that this is what I would like to hear at my memorial service or at my 80th birthday. This is what I want people to appreciate. This is what I want people to recognize. This is what I want people to share. They have benefited from my life. Right? Is that clear? Okay, good. And you can do it in either way. You can choose whether it is your memorial or 80th birthday. Okay, so I hope everyone's ready. So you can tell each other what you have. Share your memorial statements or birthday statements. Done? Good. Okay, let's round up. I hope everyone had opportunity to share and reflect. Yes? Was that helpful? So, how that was helpful? Anyone wants to share?
I can share. For me, it was helpful in two ways. One was that after reading my own list, after I had completed writing it, I realized that. Okay, so at first I will say the second point. Actually, after reading what a few other people had written and then comparing it to what I had written, I realized that I am extremely egoistic. Like,
Okay.
yeah. So that was one realization, very big. And
So sharing with others expanded your thinking.
yeah.
Okay, good.
And yeah, I realized some of the qualities that I would like to actually develop, and what things are important to me. Like, you know, what people say about me means like what are the things that I value.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
For me, Maharaj, it was kind of an opportunity to kind of set a goal for myself. While I was writing, I was going through the list of myself. I was actually thinking if I could achieve all these things, my life would be to some extent successful. So, yeah, to me, that's what I want to do.
Okay. So helped you to focus on your goals. Good.
At least make a goal for myself.
Sorry?
At least I was able to put something down as a goal for myself.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Yes.
For me also, give me the possibility to see clearly the most, at least at the moment, the most important goals that I have.
Okay.
Thinking in my whole life, at least for now, what is the most important thing that I want to achieve.
Okay. Good. It helped you to prioritize, right? Good.
Like the exercise is really good because like it makes us realize how important it is to put into action whatever goals we have and like whether there's whatever philosophy you believe in. Otherwise, it's on mistakes worse. Nothing is going to be remembered.
Okay. Yes. Very good. Yeah, the most important thing in our life is legacy, right? What we will arrive with at the what we will have at the moment of death, what we can actually leave behind ourselves. Yes. Yes.
It was a good opportunity to introspect that where I stand and where I want my life to go.
Okay, very good. Self-evaluation. Yes.
It made me realize how my goals, like how big goals I have, and I don't know how much time I have to accomplish them.
Okay, yes. Very good. Time is short.
I keep procrastinating in terms of doing things, benefiting myself, and it just makes me, gives me a sense of urgency.
Yes, good. Do you all know that the entire lifespan of human being is just little bit over 30,000 days? That's it. And many people don't even, make, to 30,000 days. That's all. Your whole life is just 30,000 days from A to Z. It's not very much at all. Right? Any ladies?
I realized that what is in the list and what I am now is like totally different.
Okay, very good.
It's not at all that, so like it tells to think like, oh, what am I doing? Like, it's not really
Okay.
going forward.
Helped you to become a little bit more serious. Good. Very nice. Anyone else? All right, so we still have a little more time, and so we'll do one other exercise, which is maybe connected to that. Today we'll be exploring death. So imagine that you have only 6 months to live. Not necessarily right now, but at some point you will only have 6 months to live, and imagine you have been warned that you only have 6 months and no more than that. Even though you won't be like confined to bed and lying sick, etc., you will have your productive life, but only 6 months longer, right? How your life would change if you only have 6 months to live? What would you be doing? Okay, in the same pairs, you tell each other, if I would have only 6 months to live, but 6 productive months, what would I be doing with these days, 180 last days of my life? Yeah? Finished? All right. So was it beneficial? Yeah? Okay. How that helped? Was it helpful? Yes? Anyone wants to share how that changed your thinking? You're still thinking. How that changed your thinking? Or you already died? Yes.
Just sort of makes you become more aware when you know you have a deadline. It sort of pushes you to become more conscious and more aware of the things that you need to do or the things that are important to do.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be 6 months, it could be today or tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Anyone else?
I was thinking that how I would like to spend the last 6 months, what I've written, whether I have enough faith and conviction to actually do that. I need to develop much more the faith and conviction to practice what I've written
Mm-hmm.
in the last 6 months.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
How can I try to fill my life with, fill my days with more life?
Put your days.
I try to fill my days with more life.
Okay.
To it.
Okay. Good.
And recall the good whichever has happened in my lifetime. And thank the Almighty for gifting me whatever He has given.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
That is the detached attachment.
Detached attachment. That's interesting. Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
Maharaj, it helped me refocus the things I'm currently doing, getting to the spiritual life, like the things I need to work upon.
Okay. Yeah. Spiritual life came at the forefront. Very good. Okay. So we still have a few more minutes. If anyone has any questions. Yes, Adipur.
With this kind of exercise, like 6 months to live,
Yeah.
it kind of makes you get, as you were mentioning, detached from things that you are held attachment to. But then, how do you draw that experience and then live your current life? Because you don't get motivated to do much because anyway, the end is there. And you are looking towards it. The thing that I put in the list was, okay, how can we get more people connected to Krishna and then probably spend the last 2 months focusing on saving myself. But how is this exercise going to add value to me in my day-to-day activity?
Well, the idea of the exercise was that you have very short time to tie all the loose ends in your life. Whatever you wanted to do, as Prabhu said, more life to the days. Like really rationalize your time and really, optimize it and think how can you achieve things in the shortest possible time, and then how you delegate things, how you make sure that whatever you started doing, whatever you're interested in happening, will be happening despite of your physical absence. So That was the idea of the exercise. Yes.
Is all these exercise also remind me, I'm sharing because maybe another devotee also was very good. Remind me a book that I read last year that he died before dying from Bhakti Maharaj.
Yes.
Very interesting because it's all about death and how we can use our lives to, it's a very, very good book in this sense.
Definitely. Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Because I found out from this exercise that if I won't be practicing devotional life during my life right now, then nothing is going to happen in the last 6 months. Like if I want to be a good devotee or something like that, so I need to start doing it from now. So it will help to in my last 6 months it will help me.
Okay. Yes. Good. So you have to start becoming serious right now. Very good. Yes.
How is this connected to understanding our nature? The introspection helps, or how is it connected to the theme of understanding your nature or your...
Yeah, it has direct connection to understanding our nature because, as I said, we are influenced by circumstances and other people, and we kind of go along with it because we think, okay, I still have many more years to live, right? But if you have 6 months to live, so there is no time to waste. And I'm focusing on something which is very important, which is most important for me. And I don't want to waste my time for anything else. Right? So everything which is not priority disappears.
That's the case where when you have the choice to do things your own way, but you are in a brahmachari lifestyle, okay? Things are told to you and you are meant to do things which are given to you, and you still have 6 months where you will be doing things which is being told unless you get the luxury of, okay, even time off, you can do what you like. That's where my problem is, okay, we're doing what we're being told, and that's what is said as a sign of surrender. Like, you keep aside your personal motivations and agendas, and even the definition of pure bhakti is kind of keep your agenda separate, do what you're being told. That's what Krishna wants you to do.
Yeah.
How do we...
Yeah, I don't think it depends on ashram because in any ashram, the most important thing is whether I'm doing what I should be doing or not. So once you understand what you want, what you should be doing, then in any ashram it can be accomplished. And I think last 6 months, if you want to do something important, even if you are brahmachari doing so many services, I don't think anyone would object. It's like last wish of a dying man. Everyone respecting, right? And if you know that you only have 6 months to live, so that's your last wish, right? All right. Anyone else? Yeah. Sorry?
But if you have a kid and we know that we are 6 months in our body, so it is very difficult to detach from that.
Yes, it is, but it did happen. I know ladies with small kids who left their bodies. So that's also important to understand that material life means anything can happen at any moment, and so we should be ready for anything. Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Vallabha ki jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.